Hello, good morning, everyone, honorable members of the committee. I see a quorum right now, so pursuant to the standing orders of the House of Commons, as the clerk of the committee, I will now preside over the election of a committee chair. I must inform members that the clerk of the committee can only receive motions for the election of the chair. As you know, the clerk cannot receive other types of motions, cannot entertain points of order, nor participate in debate. Pursuant to the standing orders of the House of Commons, the chair of this committee must be a member of the official opposition. I'm now ready to receive motions for the chair position. Yes, Ms. Block.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I would like to nominate Kelly McCauley.
So it has been moved by Ms. Block that Kelly McCauley be elected chair of the committee. Are there any further motions? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres motions?
Are there any further motions?
Therefore, I will now put the motion to the committee. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt this motion? Plaît-il au comité d'adopter cette motion? Agreed? D'accord? And so I declare the motion carried and Mr. Kelly McCauley, duly elected chair of the committee. Thank you. Okay. We're going to proceed now with the election of the vice chair. We have two positions available. The first vice chair must be a member from the governing party, pursuant to the standing orders. I'm now ready to receive motions to that effect. Oui, Monsieur Gasparro.
I'd like to nominate Ickwinder Gear as first vice chair.
Okay. Are there any further motions? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres motions?
Are there any further motions?
La motion.
No. So I will put it to a vote, if you will. It was moved by Mr. Gasparro that Mr. Gain be elected as first vice chair of the committee. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion? Agreed?
Donc la motion adoptée.
I declare the motion carried and Mr. Guerrier duly elected first vice chair of the committee.
Must be a member from the opposition, but from a party other than the official opposition. Je suis donc prêt à recevoir vos motions.
I'm ready to receive your motions. Yes, Ms. Holtz. Yes, I would like to nominate Mary-Hélène Goudreau. Yes, are there any other nominations? No? So I will put it to a vote. It has been moved by Ms. Holtz that Ms. Marie-Hélène Goudreau be elected as second vice chair of the committee. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt this motion? Agreed?
Je déclare donc la motion adoptée et Madame.
It's carried and Ms. Marie-Hélène Goudreau is duly elected second vice chair of the committee. So congratulations to all, and I will cede the floor to our new chair. Thank you very much.
Pleasure once again to be with OGO. Just briefly, we'll try and make it short and get everyone back to house duty. Before we start, I just want to welcome back Mog, our clerk. I had the pleasure of working with him for several years and one of the most experienced clerks in the whole system, so we're very fortunate to have him. Our two analysts who are not with us today, Olivier and Ryan at the back. Also, we've had pleasure working with them for several years. We're blessed. They're probably two of the best analysts and the best clerk in the, no offense, but in our system. We don't always tackle the easiest things in this committee, and they're always here to guide us. So very, very pleased to have the team back with us again. Last go around, we were also blessed with wonderful members of our committee. Several are not coming back. Were not successful in the election, but I just want to recognize them. Majid Johari, our former vice chair, wonderful gentleman, Ira Kusmirchuk, of course, Julie Vignola from the block, and Taylor Backrack. They all contributed greatly to the committee, and I think I express, filling myself and Ms. Block, who were with us last time around, how much they worked together. Not always agreeing, but they did wonderful work. So if you're at home watching, thank you very much for your contribution to OGO. Just quickly, there is a couple of things that were left over from last time. I'm hoping we can get consent just to kind of restate them, so to speak. One is we finished the Consul General report in New York, but we did not get it report stage to send to the House. So I'm hoping we can have UC to reinstate that so we can get report stage.
Are routine motions happening prior to that, or?
We can. I was going to get that out of the way, but we can go right to routine motions. 6 one, half the other. Everyone's received copies of the routine motions. There were a couple that were added. You sent out?
Yes.
Okay.
Early this week.
Good. There was a couple that we had. One is similar in public accounts and other committees. We require officials to provide in writing promised documents or answers within 21 days. So that's been added to our routine procedures. And the second one is the committee had passed that we require a CFO when we have, is it for the estimates process or, yeah, for the estimate process, the CFO to accompany the minister to make sure that they're there with the deputy minister as well so that we have fulsome responses. So if we're fine with that, can we have UC to accept, Madam?
Monsieur le Président, j'aimerais le retrouver parce qu'on
Mr. Chair, I'm trying to find it because we all have the same document, but I'm trying to find it. Under what heading would I find that?
Likely earlier this week.
It was emailed out, 2 separate emails. One was a 2-page one with the routine, the general ones that every committee is adopting.
Okay.
And there was a second one that was added just on the 2 that we adopted before, one on having CFOs attend, and one to have, again, the officials return in writing within 21 days.
Alors là-dessus, Monsieur le Président,
So on that, Mr. Chair, with all respect, I'm also on a different committee, and I think it would be critical today to adopt the routine motions that were negotiated with my leader. So I will be voting against adopting what else we got that aren't in the routine motions document. I'd like the leaders to be able to discuss this because this really is, how we do our work. You're going to tell me that committees are masters of their own destiny, but we do have some work we need to do. And in September, as soon as Parliament comes back, if there's an agreement, well, we can agree and carry this motion.
Next meeting? Yep. Are we fine with that, everyone? Okay. That'll give you time to look it over as well and discuss with your teams why we had passed it last time. Okay. So we'll proceed then just with the routine procedures. We have UC for that? Perfect. So we'll adopt that. And then the 2 outstanding, I'll ask the clerk just to send them out again in September. The 2 which are on the 21 days and also having the CFO respond. There was another one. We didn't make it part of our routine procedures, but we did speak of it often when we had outside witnesses in, just around a conflict of interest motion or a conflict of interest declaration. But
Sorry,
again, we can leave that.
Mr. Chair, do you mind if I just, and I'm new to this, so I apologize, everyone. What is the process when we are voting? Is there a clear, so we just adopted the routine motions, is that what just happened here? Or are like...
That was just on unanimous consent to adopt the typical routine that we all have in committee.
Okay.
There's another process where we actually go to a vote where we ask the clerk to have a vote, or we'll do it on division.
Okay. Just for newbies like me and who are learning, and my senior colleagues on this committee, can we just try to be clear when that is actually happening? Because you're very, obviously you're very experienced and you're able to roll through this, but can we just be clear saying, we're going to be moving this motion, and just again for newbies like me, and I apologize if it causes any delay.
Sure. So we are adopted.
Yeah. By
Perfect.
UC.
Perfect.
Block.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So to clear, we've adopted the routines. When we come back, we'll look at the 21-day as well as the request to have the CFOs attend. Quite often they do attend anyways, but we just wanted them to be there. Sure. Let's see.
Yeah. Remember that?
Give me 2 seconds, folks. With the outs. Some briefing documents for today. I hadn't planned on going over them, but my colleague, my esteemed clerk, suggested perhaps if the analysts want to go over them. So go ahead.
On va pas prendre beaucoup de temps, seulement pour expliquer.
Well, we won't take too much time just to tell you about the documents we sent out through the clerk. So to clarify our job as analysts, we prepare information notes and briefing notes, and we prepare the studies and the communiques when they are requested, and we work on the drafts of the reports also. So I'll just simply give my colleague Ryan the floor to talk to you about what we suggest you look at in the documents.
Given the volume of documents that we sent to your offices earlier on Monday through the clerk, we wanted to just highlight a few of those for new members to get acquainted with some of the subject matter of the committee. So first, we would suggest that you might want to begin with the Parliamentary Financial Cycle presentation publication, the working paper on frequently asked questions on the parliamentary cycle, the financial cycle and estimates process, the working paper on demystifying federal procurement. And for those of you who are already more familiar with the estimates process, you may be interested to know more about estimate scrutiny by the numbers, which provides information on broad trends. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks very much.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, quelques points à vous donner.
Sorry, madame.
Vous allez apprendre à me connaître, Monsieur
You'll get
Président.
to know me, Mr. Chair, as soon as the interpretation is on the wrong channel or somebody, it's on the, I'm not hear it. So please, dear interpreters, you can tell us if it's inaudible and we'll just go back in both languages, both ways, yes.
So one of the items we needed to finish off from last time was the report on the Consul General residence in New York. So suggesting that we or seek consent to reestablish the study, that the evidence received last session be deemed to have been received in this session, instructions given to our analysts to write the report so that we can actually get the report written and submitted to the House. No more witnesses, no more time on it, but just so we can get it to the analysts to have it written so we can report it to the House.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And obviously, I was not a member of this committee last time around, but I would just suggest that we have work to get to. We have more emerging and pressing issues that are coming to light now. So my preference, don't want to speak for my colleagues, but is that we focus on the future and move forward with more pressing issues.
Madame?
It's so important to not to abandon everything that was done in the past. I'm new here at OGO, so if we could have an overview and have something concrete, I mean, in my opinion, in each committee, we see these happening, bringing forward the past work. We know analysts are doing an excellent job. We want you to have work to do this summer, but I think it's very important to know exactly what's happening and what has happened, and then we can move on to what's coming up.
Ms. Block, then Mr. Patzer.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would just add to the conversation as you've noted, we would not be inviting any more witnesses. The testimony is there. I think the analysts might not mind having a report to work on over the summer so that it could be presented to us in the fall. And, the length of time it takes to review a report and adopt it, I don't think would preclude us getting to other important business. Thank you.
Jensen?
I'm good.
Sorry.
I don't need to go. Go ahead, Tamara.
Yes, I think it's really disrespectful to the Canadian taxpayer if you spend all this time and money on a study and then don't finalize with a report. So I think taxpayers would appreciate seeing an end result to the money that they put into it.
Well, I was hoping we can do it on UC, but we don't have it on UC. We can do it through a regular motion now, or when we get back in September, do it and vote on it that way.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we bring forward the work on the Consul General's condominium, that testimony, with the intention of doing a report and presenting it to the House.
And I guess Ms. Jansen has a point. It's to get it started, to give directions to the analysts to start writing the report. So at least we can have it written over the summer. Okay. Are we okay with that, colleagues? Okay. Well, can we go to a vote on it? Clerk? Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gair? No. Mr. Gasparo?
No.
Madame Rochefort?
No.
Ms. Sodds?
No?
Ms. Bloch?
Yes.
Ms. Jansen?
Yes.
Mr. Padzer?
Yes.
Et Madame Gaudreau?
Oui.
Okay. Pour 4 against 4, right? So, yes pour 4, 4, and nays contre 4,
Yes.
4.
Yes.
You're voting yes. Okay.
So carried. I have another one. It's on the Indigenous procurement one. We had many, if you recall, or if you had participated, we had many Indigenous witnesses, some elders, experts who were not able to participate. They joined in the meeting, but if you recall, we lost several because of Zoom issues, technological issues. So I'm hoping we can get UC to reestablish that study so we can hear from the Indigenous witnesses. We had from the Yukon, I recall, and some were from, I think it was McGill or from Montreal, but one of them, we actually tried 3 separate times to have them Zoom in, and 3 times we had technological issues. So I'm hoping we can have UC to reestablish those meetings or that study to continue so we can hear from the Indigenous witnesses and experts that could not join because of our IT issues.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your election as Chair. As a new member to this committee, I'm not familiar with the proceedings that were had before Parliament was prorogued. So was there a number of meetings that was set for this particular study or no?
Well, first of all, congratulations to you, but allow me to express my disappointment that you were not following OGO religiously as the public does. There had been some set aside, and then it had been extended a lot because of the continuing IT issues. So we'd set a meeting aside, people would join in, and then we could not get the interpretation because of IT issues.
So do we have an estimate on how many meetings we would like on this?
I think it was 3 witnesses. So 1 or 2? To reestablish here from the missing witnesses, and then it give you time over the summer to review it. Like, we're not saying to do it tomorrow or during the summer, but come September, but it'll give you time over the summer to take a look at it, but it's to hear from those. But we can commit to hearing from the ones that we missed out on because of IT. Ms. Suits?
Again, was not on this committee previously, but I do seem to recall that there was an Indigenous procurement report that was tabled in the House in December? Assuming that stemmed from this committee? No?
Not us.
Okay.
Yes, this was one report.
Okay.
It was a report, the House motion regarding more around some fraud issues, but it wasn't from the study itself.
It appears to me, and as I was just looking on the site, there was a report tabled in December that came out of this committee. Yeah, I think the clerk is agreeing. I'm not crazy.
The following, the committee report, the House recommended that companies engaged in a fraud be barred from accessing contracts and a response be provided. But that was more regarding fraud, but not the fulsome report.
And what was the report more broadly? Sorry, I
About
apologize.
Indigenous procurement, largely around, some on the fraud, some came out of the Dalian Cordix issue, some on companies purporting to be Indigenous but not, some on the inability for PSBC to actually honor the commitment of delivering business to Indigenous set-aside. So if we want, we can make it around hearing from those Indigenous. Start by, we'll extend it to hear from the Indigenous witnesses that could not participate and kind of go from there. I'm not looking to do anything immediately, but just to reestablish it for September.
Could I maybe ask or suggest that perhaps the clerk draft a briefing of what has been done to date and what's being asked to move forward, building on, just so we make an informed decision?
We can do that and revisit in September then. Are we fine with that? Perfect. Wonderful. You guys are going to love this one. We had a document request from Dalian Cordex, and we discussed greatly. It was much delayed because of translation and other issues. It is ready to distribute. It is many, many, many thousands of pages, but it's provided by the two companies in question, so there are items that are not redacted personal information. We can distribute it to everyone, but I'm going to suggest, because it's not redacted with personal information for the meantime, we send it only to the P9s and not make it public. They would be sent out over the summer. I think it's close to 100,000 pages.
Thousands and thousands of...
Many, many thousands. But again, they haven't provided it in redacted form. We did not ask for it in redacted form, so because there's private information, whether it's phone numbers or emails, I'm going to suggest in the meantime, until we decide otherwise, it just be distributed to the P9s.
Again, having no context of where this is coming from or the previous work on this, I'm not comfortable having something sent to my P9 that does contain personal confidential information. I would suggest, again, perhaps the clerk can prepare us a brief or, get us into the loop of what has happened.
The original motion was not written such as we can decide, like if the motion is to table them to the committee. So they are ready. So what I'm suggesting is that we just limit them to the P9s for the present. So they are going to come out. The motion wasn't, we'll send, depending on what we decide, the motion was to provide to the committee. So I'm just suggesting, because they're not redacted,
Right.
I'm not sure what personal information is in
Yeah.
there, but I'm just saying let's limit it to the P9s for now, and then we can decide from there if we wish it to go to the broader, as is normally done.
Chair, isn't usual practice for documents like this for members to review them in camera? No.
It's an option.
I'm not going to propose whether we review 100,000 pages in camera. I'm suggesting, like, they're coming out. My suggestion is we just stay with the P9s until we decide otherwise come September.
Is there a way for us, and again, I apologize, is there a way for us, Mr. Chair, to get some sort of briefing on what this is, the context? Like, I like politics as much as anyone, but I didn't follow.
You could read the blues from the meetings.
Okay.
Or ask the analysts to perhaps send you a brief, but again, the motion called for the items to be delivered to the committee.
And the motions from the last Parliament carry over to this one?
Yeah. They were.
Excuse me. Isn't the oh yes. Oh, you're discussing. Okay.
The committee and the
Because
bar
asked and committed and
2023.
delivered,
Yeah,
but it hadn't come to us just yet.
when prorogation occurred.
Yeah.
I am also a new member, sir. I'm sorry. On that note, though, when a motion did it not die when the Parliament ended, and is not the issue then?
It had already come to the clerk. Had been kind of sitting with prorogation. If we wish, I can't imagine any of you are going to sit there and read through 100. Any of us want to sit there through the summer, read 100,000 pages on this. If this big an issue, I can have someone send a. You can read the blues and see it exactly what it is. I can have the motion sent to you. You can get a bit more context. We can follow up in September. Madame?
Bon, si je fais un portrait de la situation.
Well, so to get an overview, we were just assigned, so we're going to have homework to do. And that homework is to really go through all the work that was done. Maybe because I was assigned sooner, I had the time to get a briefing from my predecessor, Ms. Viguion, who's not even a member anymore. But the summer will be time to look at what was done. And please, I mean, I'm completely for example, voting to complete the work that was not done. I mean, we're talking about public funds here. This is important work. And of course, with the thousands of pages to read, I mean, I would not want it to be done in committee during our meetings, but we can do it, look over the information while we're in our riding so that we're ready for September and we can look at future work. But let's finish the work that was started last Parliament.
Thanks. Just conferring, one second. Conferring, and I'll get to you, Mr. Pastor. Conferring with the clerk. Like, the items were delivered to the committee. They just hadn't been forwarded when prorogation happened. I can have our clerk explain why we can still access them. But go ahead, but I've heard from Ms. Gaudreau, she would like to see them over the summer. I think other colleagues would like, and considerable expense has been put into translating these items. So go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Well, thank you, Chair. All of this documentation is basically the response provided by the two firms in question, Dalian and Coradix, to the committee, following the adoption by this committee of basically a series of motions for the production of papers that were adopted, if my memory serves right, in November and December of 2023. Of course, the text of these motions can be found for instance, in the relevant minutes of proceedings of these meetings. But for instance, the committee, for instance, was sending for a copy of the contract that were signed between GC Strategies and the CBSA, the Canadian Border Service Agency. The committee requested lots and lots of documentation and information. All this to say that it took some time for these two companies to give a fulsome response, the full documentation to the committee. They did in early of 2024, last year. And as the committee chair just mentioned, it spent some time at the Translation Bureau throughout the last year. and we received it fully translated toward the end of last year of 2024. Me and my team, the committee assistant, we were aiming at sending it to all committee members by mid-January of this year. But what happened, as you know, on January 6th, a prorogation of Parliament occurred, and that basically put everything to a halt, including that type of distribution. And then, you know the story, there was a dissolution of Parliament and a call to general election. Now, this documentation, it's still in the hopper of the committee, so this is why I was asking the committee's leadership to see with the committee if the committee wishes to receive that documentation, reestablish the study, and because it has been in the hopper for a little while. So this is, I hope that this gives more context for the committee members. Okay.
Well, sir. Mr. Chair, first of all, thank you for the context. I appreciate it. I'm not exactly sure it's realistic for a new committee member to read through hundreds of hours of blues to try to get a understanding of what is coming through, i.e. 100,000 pages of documentation. So, you know, I think a proper briefing is appropriate in this regard, and then we can make an informed decision, or an informed vote at least.
You here?
No.
No, sorry. Ms. Gaudreau, then Ms. Jansen, then Ms. Block, or Mr. Okay. Ms. Gaudreau, then Mr. Panzer.
Monsieur le Président, là, il y a deux...
Mr. Chair, well, there are two things on the table right now. I completely agree with getting a briefing or to get a summary of what happened. Yes, that could be done in September virtually. That's completely fine. But where there's disagreement, I mean, we can vote on that, I guess, Mr. Chair. We can't drop documents that we've been waiting for since 2023. I mean, we can try to stretch things out, but we need those documents. You have told us that we will be able to access them, so now there's a bit of a problem. So perhaps we could separate the two, you know, get a briefing for those who need it. I would be one of those people, but I also need the documents to really look at things closely.
I was hoping to do that on a UC, but that's obviously not going to happen, so would require a motion from floor. We can consider that a motion just to release them just to the P9s, as I'm suggesting, or to the general committee. I'll leave that to you. So.
Donc, je propose
Well, I move that the documents from last Parliament be sent only to the P9 accounts so that committee members may consult them as soon as they are received.
Dalian, correct?
Yeah,
Not all.
documents from the Dalian Gorduc's motion.
Exact.
Thanks.
Merci.
So again, to be clear, it'll just be to the P9s, not to be shared. Perfect. And kept confidential for the time being until we decide otherwise. Ms. Suits?
It's SUDS, just to clarify. Thank you. Good, SUDS. So two questions. One would be, and again, being new to this, is there an open study that we have on the table right now of which these documents are feeding into? And second of all, would just to concur, I think a briefing would be super helpful as we dig into this.
Yeah, there's an open study, but it was from the motion for these papers that were supposed to be delivered to the committee. Briefing can be provided, I'm sure, by the analysts. To Mr. Gasparo's comment about the blues, it's quite easy to find it from the blues. They can provide those specific meetings, but they can. It'd be easier to do a separate briefing for you if you wish.
Yeah, or maybe what we can do, we can have a written briefing sent at the same time as the documents are sent out. So we're just not receiving 100,000 documents with absolutely zero context, which is ridiculous. So if you know, it really is like, you know.
Ms. Jansen and then Ms. Rochefort. Jansen?
Yes, I'm new to OGO as well, and I must admit I wasn't watching OGO. But I myself am fairly familiar with Dalian and Coridex just simply from the things that we were hearing actually, through the media. So, I mean, it's not terribly difficult to figure out what this is about, but I do expect there's going to be a lot of work, and I'm excited to get started on that, and I'm very thankful to the team for making sure that we continue to look at these very, very serious issues.
Chair, tantôt, ma collègue, Madame Gaudreau, elle a parlé de déplucher.
Earlier, my colleague, Ms. Gaudreau, talked about going through the documents. For me, it's trying to understand the process that I'm trying to do. I'm new. When a parliament comes to an end, there are things that come to an end. Also, studies, for example. But to what point can we go back in the past? I mean, when is the study ended? So it's important to me to understand that part of the process. I thought the study was completed or was done. So from the clerk, I'd like to understand the process better because it's not quite clear to me, what is the right way of doing things.
Miss, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. But because I'm new, I did not quite understand. I'm hoping maybe to get additional details to have a better understanding. And I hope you will be lenient here, given that I'm a new member.
Do we have anyone else on the speaking list? Mr. Patzer?
There we go. Yeah, I mean, as a committee, we can obviously just restart the work that was ended last Parliament. I mean, I think that's what we're getting at here. And Ms. Gaudreau has said that it's in her interest as well as interest of Quebecers and Canadians to continue this study to get to the bottom of the root cause of the fraud that was found out. That's what these documents relate to, and that's the study that we will be looking to continue, is that. And as a committee, we have the ability to do that. And because of the nature of the documents as the way they're received, as the clerk explained, I mean, it's perfectly within the scope of us to be able to do that. Yes, it means there's a lot of work for those of us who weren't on the committee before to kind of get up to speed for it. But I mean, that's our role as parliamentarians. Sometimes there's a lot of work that's needed to do to catch up and get on top of things. I remember one time on industry committee, we had we passed a motion on a Thursday, and we were ready to and when we came back on Monday, we had worked, the Conservatives had worked over the weekend, and we were ready to go with motions and studies, and there was a member from the opposite side that was complaining about people working over the weekend. Well, I mean, as parliamentarians, sometimes, we got to work over the weekend, and we have a lot of work to do over the summer, and we're fortunate that we have the entire summer to be able to catch up on what this study is. I mean, could you imagine starting on Tuesday next week that having to jump into this, right? So thankfully we have all summer to do this work, and I'm excited to do that over the summer at home, so that way when we begin in the fall with this committee, I'll be tuned up and ready to roll. So it's a lot of work, but it's not out of the ordinary.
To be clear, the motion is just to release the documents to us, to P9s only. Ms. Rushford?
Oh, wait.
Am I pronouncing your name right, by the way?
Oh, yes, that's good. All good. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Patzer. That's all good. But simply to advise that I'm not afraid of hard work, and I'm not afraid of working over the summer. No issue there at all. But I am concerned about process, and I need to understand, and maybe it's my mistake because I had not seen this item as part of the agenda for today's discussion, so I'm not maybe prepared. So I'd like to understand the process and why, at what point can we reopen? And I guess that's what I'm trying to seek an understanding
I think
of.
we can reopen anything, anytime, but this is just to distribute the documents, not to restart any study. I can have the clerk again reiterate.
That would be. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That'd be very helpful for me.
It's almost moot because the motion is before us is to send out the documents.
Yes, I just want to make sure as I vote, I want to be informed and I want to understand.
You're not voting on our bill on the procedure. You're voting just on releasing the documents as the motion is. So perhaps we can continue that, and then he can explain to you offline or separately. But we've gone past from, hey, we're going to send out to an actual motion from the committee saying let's release these. So it's almost
I
it's
understand.
a separate thing altogether.
I understand. So I understand here that
I'm going to continue with the motion because the motion is now taken separately from what I asked for the UC, but the motion before us is to release the documents just to the P9s because they're not redact and maybe personal things for the committee not to continue a study, not to reopen it, but to release it. So,
Mr.
sorry, I've got a speaking list.
Sure,
I have
sure.
Ms. Gaudreau.
En fait, l'essence
Actually, the very essence of the documents, and this is for all new parliamentarians. I'm not a new MP, but I'm new here. Yes, the committee can decide whether to stop a project or go forward and complete a project. The motion is only a guarantee that the documents won't just be cast aside or fall through the cracks so that we can continue with that work. There will be a lot of time because there are documents that are hundreds of pages. Interpretation of the document is very important and that can take months. So in this case, we should not have had to go through this whole thing because it would have been finished, the work, but there was prorogation, so we couldn't do anything before the elections. The motion here is not to say what will we do next. It's just saying we're just going to get the documents sent to our P9 accounts, and in September we can revisit this subject if we believe it's important, and we'll have had our briefing. We'll have had time to really look at the documents and analyze them, because I understand, I do want to take holidays like the rest of you, but we do have work to do also. So, Mr. Chair, I encourage members, I don't know if there are still people on your speaking list, but I encourage people to move on to a vote, even if we don't have unanimous consent right now.
And Ms. Rochefort, and then Mr. Gasparo. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Gasparo, then Ms. Rochefort. Go ahead, Ms. Block.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. What I would add to this discussion is that by putting forward a motion that we receive these documents to our P9s only, and keep them confidential, we're actually protecting the unredacted information that we received from Cordex and Dalian until such time that we determine what we want to do with the information that we've received. So I would just add that it may be useful to find out from the clerk what would happen if we didn't pass this motion and these documents were to be sent to the committee, where they would go. We're trying to limit the distribution to members of parliament only.
Okay.
Would the honorable member, sorry, I don't know what the proper way of doing this is, but would you be willing to add into your motion that a written brief be included in the documents that are sent to us? So the written briefing comes to our P9s with the written or with all the 100,000 documents or whatever the number is.
Mr. Chair, I hope we're going to see this often, but this would be a friendly amendment, as we call them, if we add to my motion inaudible.
As done by that, if we're comfortable with that? We'll adopt it as you see that it's...
Catch up on
Yeah, we'll adopt it as you see it's deliver the documents, P9s only, and that the analyst will provide a briefing, just to move things along.
I have a quick question.
Yeah. Hold on a sec.
Wouhou! Vous faites un bon travail, les interprètes.
You're doing a great job, interpreters. There's a proposal, an amendment to the motion. I agree to that change if there's unanimous consent on it, so that afterwards we can finally move on to a vote so that we can get the documents and, of course, get briefing documents also. I mean, are we going to add a date? No, we're not going to get the briefing till September because we're not ready. No. We need to decide this now. So if the analysts say yes, nod their heads and say they already have documents that they could send along also to us, let's go.
Provide that. Are we comfortable with that? We'll
So just for the record, I am not comfortable with this because I still do not understand the process necessarily and why we revisit documents. And
Okay.
I just wanted
Ms.
Mr.
Rushford,
Mr. Chair
The committee, the motion, you're arguing something that I don't want to say is irrelevant. It's not relevant to this motion. There was a very clear motion directing the documents to be delivered. If you're not comfortable with that, I don't know what to say about that, but the motion is very clear. We can, if we're fine, we can just move to be technical, there's an amendment, we can vote on the amendment, but I think we have consensus that we're fine with the motion amended. We can vote on that or continue debate on that. Are we fine? Why don't we just start with the amendment? Are we fine with the amendment?
And so
Perfect.
are we
So
going to have
the
a recorded
motion
vote?
as
Do we have is this a recorded vote? Like, how does that work, Mr.
Okay.
Chair?
We have an amendment before us. We can vote on the amendment or we can accept it as unanimous consent, which we seem to have. I see nods all around. So unless someone disagrees with your amendment, we will go back to the motion as amended, which is to provide the documents to the members P9s only to stay confidential, because there is stuff out there we do not want shared, and also be provided to the analysts and their staff separately, I'll say, is a briefing document.
So I would like a recorded, please. I would like a recorded
On
vote
your amendment?
on the
or-
motion, on the amended motion.
Okay, we can get to that if we're ready to that. Perfect, sir. And I'm going to suggest that it will be delivered different tranches. One tranche will be on a SharePoint to the P9s only, the documents. The analysts separately will deliver to everyone, so your staff, the briefing. So is that clear? So the staff and the members will get the briefing. The members only will get the documents on a SharePoint. And those items are not to be shared with anyone, not with the whip's office. They're P9 only, confidential until this committee decides otherwise. There's not just personal information, phone numbers, but there's also security clearance numbers, security information. So that's why we're suggesting P9 only till we decide otherwise. So are we clear on what the motion will be?
Maybe say it one more time,
Good.
just for all of us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That the Dedalian Codex documents, as from the original motion, will be delivered to the P9 only, and the members, to stay confidential to the members only, no one else besides the members. And a briefing document will be provided by the analysts separately on a separate email, but to everyone, associates, but also staff members. But on a separate email or separate email access for the Cordion or the Dedalian Codex documents will only be to the P9s. It has to stay confidential. So not to be shared with staff, whip, anyone. P9 only. Clear? On that motion?
Yep, I'll speak on that motion. Chair, just I was on Indu committee before Parliament prorogued, including the clerk as well. And so any sensitive documents that came to that committee, we generally did review them in camera. No, that's fine. I'm just making a point. But it was a particular room. There was a particular room that was set aside, a particular time that was set aside for individuals to go and review those documents, and that was sort of for the most confidential types of documents. Not being on this committee beforehand, I sense that these documents are pretty sensitive in nature as well, depending on based on the discussion that we've had so far. Is there any sort of penalty of a leak from a P9 of these documents?
We, in this committee, we've distributed private stuff, confidential stuff before. The only time I've seen it done to a separate room has been VAX documents for public accounts, and then also for the battery study. But no, we just send out leaks. There's privilege issues. But are we back debating the amended motion?
It's a question, actually. Yes.
So you wish to go on, okay, I'm starting a speaking list now on the amended motion. On the amended motion, please.
Yes, so if there is a leak
This is not on the amended motion.
On the if there is an amended if there is a leak of the amended motion,
This
is there
not-
a penalty
This is not
that
a
is
question
that accompanies
of debate on the amended motion. It's for a separate I don't want to be difficult, but questions of what ifs are not part of the motion or the amended motion. So can we get to the vote on the amended motion, or we can get to debate on the amended motion, but we can't get into procedural what ifs?
No, Chair, just generally in previous committees, we are usually allowed to ask for points of clarification. I'm looking to the clerk because she was my clerk in industry committee.
Okay, it's not our clerk.
Yeah.
Our clerk is here.
Sure.
And not to be pissy, but if you wish questions of the clerk, it should come through the chair. But I'm not sure what your question is or what the issue is.
So my
You've got it
question is,
very
are we
clear.
allowed to ask for points of clarification
On the motion?
on the motion as amended before the vote is
Okay,
called?
I'm not sure what your question is, but go ahead. The motion is very clear that the items will be delivered by an email to your P9.
So the question that was asked by my colleague and by myself is there a penalty that's involved?
Okay, there's nothing to do with the motion, sir. I don't understand. There's privilege issues. If, sake of argument, I take it and distribute it, it could be a privilege issue that are reported to the House. But that's irrelevant to the motion itself, which is we assume MPs will be honorable or not, but there are privilege issues if it is leaked.
Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Is anything on the motion itself, the amended motion? Just quickly, has everyone here received ShareLink emails? SharePoint? Yeah. The clerk was just saying it can't be forwarded, like I can't take it and forward it to Olivier to open. It can only be accessed through the link through the parliamentary. So it's pretty tough unless you want to print pages and or screen cap, I guess. But to the vote itself on the amended motion. And then I think Ms. Block had something, and then I just wanted to say quick thanks to someone else who I forgot to earlier. On the amended motion, so to be clear, yep. So to be clear, everyone on the P9 will get the link to, not you, Mr. Gill, I'm afraid, sorry, but to the Kurdian Dalian papers, and then separately you'll get a shareable briefing from the analysts. Perfect.
Recorded vote?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Gair? Mr. Gasparo?
No.
Madame Rochefort?
No.
Ms. Sudds?
No?
Ms. Block?
Yes.
Ms. Jensen?
Yes.
Mr. Padzer?
Yes.
Madame Gaudreau?
Ben oui.
Yeas pour, 4, 4, and nays contre.
As it
4,
was
4.
the will of the committee in the original motion, yes.
Yes.
Ms. Block, you had something, and I just want to say a couple of things and thank someone else who I forgot to.
Thank you, Chair. Given that we've been talking about past studies and how to deal with perhaps studies that we didn't write a report to, we did have a study entitled Postal Services in Canada's Rural and Remote Communities that we finished up in the last Parliament. It was reported to the House, and we had asked for a response from government, and we never received that response. And quite frankly, it was a very informative study that we undertook. Everyone around the table was very engaged. It had been introduced by Taylor Bachrach, a former member of this committee who is no longer at the table. But my motion is that we ask the government to respond to that study. And I'll read a motion into the record if I could.
Can I just clarify, you're just looking for the response from the
response
House
from
that was
government.
originally going to be delivered, except for the prorogation?
The prorogation,
Oh, okay,
that's
thanks.
right.
Sorry.
That's right.
Go ahead.
So my motion would read as follows, that given that committee members, staff, the clerk, analysts, and witnesses worked very hard to produce the report entitled Canada's Postal Service, a Lifeline for Rural and Remote Communities during the 44th Parliament. And given that the government did not table a response due to the prorogation of Parliament, the committee deemed that it has undertaken and completed a study on Canada's postal service, and using the title, A Lifeline for Rural and Remote Communities, pursuant to Standing Order 108, and that it adopt that report as a report from this committee. Pursuant to Standing Order 109, the committee requests the government to table a comprehensive response to the report. Supplementary or dissenting reports that accompanied the report in the previous session of Parliament be tabled with the main report, and the chair present the report to the House.
Colleagues, this was I think it was actually a Liberal NDP kind of study. It was just on rural post offices. It was done. There's no other witnesses, no other report. It's just to table it to get a response from the House. It was tabled in, clerk is telling me, December. Normally when we table a report, we get a response back, I think in 180 days or 90 days, I can't recall. So I think you're just asking for it to be, so nothing changes, just to be the response, which is probably already done, for the response to be tabled. Are we fine with that, colleagues? Madame?
Yeah.
Sorry. Ms. Gaudreau?
Oui, dans le fond, on reçoit la motion. Moi, j'ai besoin de
We've
temps.
just gotten the motion. I need some time to read it, but also to understand it. I didn't receive it before. I am just getting it. If I'm not ready to vote on this.
Do you require a couple? Sorry, do you require a couple minutes? Again, it's not to do anything or change anything in the report. It's just we didn't receive the response back from the government on the report. So that's all we're looking to receive from them. Ms. Russ?
Monsieur le Président, j'avais besoin
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to read it. I have read it and I'm comfortable with it.
Setting to ask the question, but just from a process perspective, do motions typically come written before a meeting, or do they just does this regularly occur? Just to follow up.
We're in committee business like this. It
Like
can be just
regular.
done from the floor. Otherwise, it's 2 days. 2 days notice.
Okay, thank you.
By 4 o'clock. Generally, it's half and half, depending what's going on. So we're just looking for an answer from the government, which I think they already have. Are we fine with that? Can we? Perfect. Accept on unanimous. Perfect.
Just want to clarify something with the
Quickly, then we'll. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Block, and then I'll.
No, I'm
Okay, you're
finished
done.
with that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I just wanted before we rise, thank you, everyone. I look forward to working with everyone. We'll be a bit more organized, although we do keep things pretty informal in this committee when technically can't do friendly amendments, but when we have general consensus, we'll just kind of do so to keep things friendly and keep things moving quick. I've got to thank a special person who's a very good friend of the committee. I noticed this week, I was watching Senate Finance because I don't have a life. They put through a motion praising Mr. Giroux, the parliamentary budget officer. They endorsed renewing his mandate as a PBO because it expires September 2nd. We're not going to get an opportunity to see Mr. Giroux come in before then. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Giroux on behalf of the committee for all his work. I jokingly teased George Martin was the 5th member of the Beatles and Mr. Giroux was the 11th or the 12th member of OGO. Always available to us. Sometimes we called him with only a couple hours notice to appear in committee. I saw him spar with every member of this committee, Liberal, Bloc, NDP, and Conservative, and I certainly didn't always agree with his analysis, but I always thought they were very thorough and very partisan and very straightforward. So Mr. Giroux, if you're watching, because I know you do, watch Ogo, because who doesn't? Thank you very much from the committee. You were a fantastic friend of the committee. I appreciate all the work you've done for us. Mrs. Block?
Mr. Chair, would it be in order for us as a committee to also propose that his term be renewed? And would it take a motion to do that? I agree with your assessment. I think we would benefit very much from his expertise. And given that the Senate has already passed a motion in the Senate, could I put a motion forward today that the Committee on Government Operations and Estimates request the renewal of the Parliamentary Budget Officer?
A recommendation.
Okay.
Is it just to follow the Senate one, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I guess what I would suggest is that the Standing Committee on Government Operations and Estimates recommend the renewal of the Parliamentary Budget Officer's mandate upon its expiration, ensuring that the continued provision of independent financial analysis to Parliament and that reports to this House.
Thank you. Understanding it's just a recommendation. Personally not binding, although I think everything out of Ogo should be binding. Ms. Gaudreau?
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Chair, I do agree with this because according to my analysis, but also when I looked at the work from Ms. Vignola, but all of my colleagues, they all seemed to have loved how professional he is, how well he worked, how hard he worked, and I do believe that it is a good idea to recommend that his mandate be renewed for 7 years, I think. I would be really happy to give a recommendation on that matter.
Ms. Jansen, and then
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Mr. Gahir.
I was incredibly thankful for the PBO. I was able to call him to my office. He came with his team, and we were able to kind of go over some things at the very beginning of my time here, so I'd be better prepared to speak with the finance minister. So fantastic work, him and his team. I definitely would love to see him continue.
Thank you, Chair. I echo the sentiment that the PBO does a great job. I respect them greatly. Wouldn't it be highly inappropriate, though, for a committee to be presenting such a recommendation for an agent of Parliament that there is a bit of an arm's length relationship there? We can say commend them for their work. Thank them for their work, but a recommendation from committee, I don't think there's precedent for that.
Committees are their own bosses, so to speak. If it's the will of the committee, then yes, we can. There's nothing inappropriate about it. The Senate Finance Committee, I don't know if you use their wording, but the Senate Finance Committee did identical. So, again, it's not binding. It's just a recommendation, expression of an opinion. Ms. Rushmore?
Could I recommend put forward a motion that would suggest that we just recognize his good work and provide words of appreciation? I'm not sure if there was a motion. I think you had put forward a motion.
We're debating the motion
so
itself.
It's still the word itself, the recommend, that I'm uncomfortable with. I think our duty is to acknowledge the good work and to put forward words that recognize that good work, but not necessarily to recommend the renewal of his contract.
Okay.
I got the text from.
Great. Call the vote, sir.
Oh. Whoops. Mr. Gahir.
Sorry, do we have the text of the motion? I know the vote's been called, but
Yeah.
Sure, send it on.
He sent it to you.
yeah, just if you email it.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Gailly,
No?
Mr. Gasparo,
No.
Madame Rochefort,
No.
Ms. Sudds,
No.
Ms. Block,
Yes.
Ms. Jensen,
Yes.
Mr. Padzer,
Yes.
Madame Gaudreau.
Oui.
Yeas pour 4-4 and nays contre 4-4.
Yes.
Yes. Chair votes in favor.
Okay, colleagues, thanks very much. Sorry, took a bit longer than I thought, but I appreciate some of the housekeeping clear up. If everyone, we'll meet with Mr. Gahir and Mrs. Block and Ms. Gaudreau, either by Zoom or whatever, over sometime in coming months. So try and flesh out, but things change pretty fast. So who knows what's going to be our priority come September. Unless there is some emergency, I don't foresee us seeing each other in the summer, unlike we saw each other last summer. But I look forward to working with everyone. Appreciate everyone's help today, getting through today. Welcome to all the new members, our new vice chairs, and look forward to working with you as much as I worked with Mr. Joari and Mrs. Vignola. Thank you very much, everyone. We are adjourned.